Where's our other
comments? Andrew has a planning and zoning joint town council meeting tonight, same time. And Joe, I haven't heard from.
Okay, well,
there used to be a protocol, you know, coming, because I remember I used to get always beat up with my travel sort of time. Who's got the spreadsheet?
Dana keeps attendance. She marks it if it's a no call, no show, or if it's for business or something. And then at the end of the year, she turns it into the town clerk's office and keep it on file.
Yeah, but the bottom line is you did it.
Right, I agree.
That's the bottom line. Well, I mean, we're all here, everyone should be.
All right, well, let's get started. We're audience for citizens, non-scheduled, any on Zoom? Nope. Okay, approval of minutes. Can I entertain a motion for the minutes of August 12th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 12th.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of passing the minutes? Aye. Dinesh was not here, so he should not vote, but we have a quorum, so. Okay. Okay, nothing on the consent agenda? Nothing to be okay. All right, Parks and Grounds.
We took on a huge project in the month of August of pretty much redoing the redoing the playground, basketball hoops, having the basketball area, playground repainted, and pretty much all new sidewalks at Willard School. So that was completed. You guys get a chance to take a walk around the school and check it out, especially the basketball hoop where they painted all the new games. That came out really good. And then the only other crazy thing that happened is we installed a solar pump out of the community garden with a 4 battery backup so they can water their plants. So it went from like 1.5 gallons a minute to now they can get almost 16 gallons a minute out of the pump. So it's pretty impressive. It's a great system. Okay, that's it for Parks and Grounds.
Nice question. Did you ever hear any more feedback on the little people, not the little people park, but the Willard playground down by college?
Not a word. The only thing that we had is when we were cleaning it up, a lot of people came and said throughout the summer how the YMCA was there. They didn't care for the equipment and everything. They would just trample everything. There was no supervision. And they think that's where a lot of the problems came from. That's the only thing we heard while we were there. Thank you for the heads up on that.
Go ahead. Do you want to touch base on Tony's question?
Yeah, so Tony asked the question of how to let us know what the procedure is after hours. I think I answered to the email. There's my cell phone number. I don't have social media. I don't use social media. I probably couldn't find a way around it. If you guys notice something on there, please don't hesitate to call. I mean, if it's a safety issue, especially what happened at McClatchy Park, I think it looks a lot better if we can come in there and address the issue and work with the public to get it done rather than letting it blow up all over social media. Same thing Don did, thank God, with Willard Playground. You know, we were scheduled to get in there. We didn't get in there the week before because YMCA still was using it. So any positive, negative, or anything you can pass on to us through email, phone calls. Don't text because some reason my phone decides to connect to my iPad and I haven't figured it out. And one's a Samsung and one's a Apple, and they should not be talking to each other, and somehow they do. So any information that you need to get to us, just please.
So that's the best that's the protocol you want us to do, to be able to pick up and call your cell phone.
Absolutely.
I just don't want to step on.
I think if it's something routine that you know can wait till the next morning, then an email's fine. But something like McClatchy, I think he would have welcomed that call on.
Well, what bothers me about those two incidents, Friendship Place and McClatchy, is both of the residents reported it on Facebook.
Right.
Instead of reporting it to somebody else.
Right.
They just both went on there. And then what happens is the thing goes nuts.
Yep.
I think Lucy's post had 183 comments.
Yep.
It went on for 2 days. The friendship thing got out of control. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, and the person that reported is actually a Berlin, regular. They know what to do. So I'm thinking, if we see it, we can call you.
Yeah.
But if we don't see it, what's the public supposed to do?
Yeah, is there a good opportunity? Can we have signage that a lot of places you'll have a sign out there that says you see something wrong with this facility, dial this number, or do something about it. So this way somebody would know.
That's a good idea.
Like the friendship thing. You don't know, if you go to Friendship Place, you don't know it's under Parks and Rec. You think it's a part of the school.
It's under Parks and Rec.
Or,
which is pretty much under DPW.
So, but what if there was a sign out there that said, you know, if you see something wrong with this facility, you know, call this number.
Yep.
I don't know if you wanted to have your number or the Parks and Rec number or whatever it might be, but this way maybe as we go along, we could, you know, get these inexpensive signs and just mount them somewhere. So the public has a ability to call somebody. Instead of maybe going out there and posting it where then it flies off the handle and it just looks really bad.
Exactly.
Chances are they're still going to post it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to stop
But-
social media no matter what.
But I
you
think
do.
that's a fair point.
Lucy, yes, Lucy would have posted it no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the other one?
And it's a shame because if he had known about it sooner, his staff would have gone. Instead, family ended up cleaning up the whole time.
Right.
Yes.
What happened at Friendship Place? I totally missed that.
Go ahead.
After we did all the repairs, we put like $10,000 into it in the month of July. Everything was redone. The Y went in there and we didn't get a chance to put new wood fiber or clean it up. So as the Y was in there, somebody showed up and there was masks and litter and there was nothing broken. Yeah, there were weeds, but there was nothing broken. The company had left the old top of the slide inside there. So they were like, there's broken equipment, the park's not taken care of. And I think they embellished it a lot.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys who's running Zambaro, he went down there and they picked up the litter and the masks that night. So that's pretty much the whole Friendship Place deal.
Yeah, and if you know, the way it was posted, the thing has been like an abandoned facility. That's when you read it, you're like, oh my god, it sounds really bad there, you know.
Yep.
And it's not like.
Dana, I'm not sure if you could hear me.
Hi, Joe. How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
Pretty good. Just as you joined, for some reason, the meeting, the host, Jen, got booted off, so she's working on reconnecting.
Got it. So I thought it was something I did, but I'm glad it's not me.
You joined. Oh, here she comes. She's coming back.
Right. So could it be that your phone number goes out on the sign, your work phone number?
Right, be my work, maybe my desk phone.
Right, that's the best.
Because even my desk phone connects to my work.
Yeah. I'd much rather have it go directly to you so you're aware.
Yeah.
And
Then just send a message.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's not going to do anybody.
then you just get to whatever it is, however you decide to get to it.
Yep, and I definitely agree. Open the lines of communication with the residents is a lot better than that. Become Facebook heroes.
I think that's a great idea. We had the basketball courts. This year, not so much basketball courts, but a complaint or?
Nope,
I
you
haven't
had
seen
people walk by the high school and says, hey, do you mind if I pick up the bottles every day and keep them? I'm like, absolutely, just pick up the bottles also.
But the garbage is good pretty
Yeah,
good.
And I'm like last
Yeah, not like
no
last.
complaints.
And you think that's because the other ports in the other towns are
Open,
open?
absolutely.
Britain has some nice ports now. They've done
Yeah,
over
they
some of
did.
their parks. It's really nice, yeah.
All the guys are over there now.
Really nice, yeah.
Okay.
You want to speak on the other issue?
Which one?
Refrigerator?
Sage.
Yes, sure.
So Tony went to the Jamboree on last Saturday, and there was a problem with the refrigerator that the health inspector previously had noted in his notes that was not working properly. So that's another one of those things where if it's something mechanical or something inside of a building, that goes to facilities. So facilities called the company when they got the report from Jeff Hito. They hired a company to come out there and look at it. The company got out there and said something along the lines of, it was humid inside the building, so the coil froze. So what they did today is they took an extra refrigerator that they had and they swapped the refrigerator out. They swapped everything that was in there for drinks, beverages, and everything else, candy bars. They took the old refrigerator and put it into the blockhouse of the Sage Park. And when the guy comes in, then they'll put that one back in. But what it was a little condensation got onto the coils, froze it, and it was working at 42 degrees instead of 35 degrees. And that's why Jeff did it.
So Tony, maybe you can
That's a good explanation, and I appreciate that, but I guess the issue becomes is the lack of communication about it. There's actually there was Friday night football team had a scrimmage.
Yeah, can I just ask you this for the other commissioners that aren't aware, like Dinesh and maybe Greg?
Right, so Sage Park this past week in Scalise Field hosted a football game, a scrimmage game on Friday night. On Saturday, I hosted a men's high school soccer jamboree all day. And then Sunday, I hosted a women's soccer jamboree all day, bringing in multiple high schools on both days. So there was an extreme amount of usage there. We'll get to the bathroom thing, but so on Saturday, the concession stand was being used by the boys soccer team, and they had it full with their food, and the health inspector came out and found that the refrigerator wasn't keeping temperature. And he said, "Oh, I told the town, so they should have known about it." So they immediately cooked all their food, and then the next day, the girls soccer team, they basically alternated freezer to counter, something like that. Well, I guess the issue is that there should have been some communication about that to somebody so that we would know.
Yeah, once they do the paperwork with us, it's off to the health department and we don't hear back.
So, this thing is rented out to these teams.
Who did Jeff tell that? I don't even know.
I think it was in his report to facilities.
Yeah.
When facilities got it, that's when they contacted them.
So there lies my confusion about the whole thing. So Parks and Rec or Parks and Ground is responsible for Scalise Field and Sage Park in general, but facilities is taking bits and pieces of it.
Facilities handles the buildings and everything inside them, and all the electricity and everything like that.
All right, so this bathroom remodeling project that they're doing is on their facilities, and it's their project under their budget.
Correct. We have no control over that project.
Having no control is probably right? But I think the communication part, it's understanding having facilities, if it involves a park, especially a park like Sage that we rent out, and we know people use the facilities, they should be updating you. You should be requesting. I mean, that's my opinion. You should be requesting it as this thing goes through and letting the commissioners know about it. Obviously, we're all involved in different groups, and that knowledge needs to be passed on so that Tony's not surprised or anybody's not surprised when things
I can't speak on the fridge, but on the bathrooms, our tentative, according to the schedule that Doug had sent at the beginning of the project, tentative completion date was September 12th. So last week, Steve and I met with the AD and we were talking about it, and we had decided to email Doug for the update because as far as we knew, it was on board for September 12th. And that's when Doug responded that the bathrooms would be most likely not finished until end of October. So that email went to myself, it went to the athletic director. I also then forwarded the email to all the youth groups.
So what's the delay? Why is September 12th to then October? Which is, you know,
Delays on plumbing fixtures and doors.
I'm sorry, Jenna.
Delays on plumbing fixtures and doors. So then Dave, the AD, emailed Doug back and said, perhaps need to talk logistics with porta potties. And Doug had said, okay, give us some options. That was Thursday, September 2nd. I don't know if they've talked amongst themselves since then.
so see, this is where the whole thing falls apart. Because I don't understand how that works. So they're handling the bathroom. Yeah, I got it. And they have problems. Got it. So then the visitors are now going to have to deal with portas, right?
Right.
Who's paying for the porta potties?
I believe it's coming out of the bathroom renovation budget project.
So all the maintenance that you're performing there, of these porta potties, making sure that they're clean and whatever, is coming all out of their money, not your
Correct,
money.
it's coming out of the project budget.
Okay. I mean,
They scheduled extra cleanings.
yes, good, because they should, because
Exactly, agree.
you know, starting tonight is the regular season starts tonight.
Right.
And you know, if you go to a game there, which you know, I was there this past weekend, and you just stand around and talk and listen to people as they're visiting. What do you think they say about going to a porta potty?
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
They're not happy.
I was
They're
not
full of
happy that
complaints.
this project didn't start until
I know.
August and
So
was
I
going
mean,
into the fall season. I was very vocal about that with
so
facilities.
the end of October is pretty much the season. I mean, there's a little bit of November, but it's over.
Mhm.
Well, the embarrassing part is you didn't play all last year, when you did the project last year, and now you got the whole brand new field that's there, and now you got, it looks like crap, it really does. We're gonna be like just any other mom and pop place where you're for lots of people are gonna line up.
You know, I want to go on record, Steve, and say that, you know, I really appreciate your concern about it and taking care of it and addressing it with me and taking my phone call about it, because I was shocked and surprised to see this. And your suggestions about making women's only bathrooms, you know, were terrific. I really appreciate that. And we minimized the impact as much as possible. You know, and that goes to your credit, which I don't understand why you're not handling this. It's very frustrating to come from this other end, because we were shut down and we're open again for sports, full schedule, full fans, full cooking, full everything. And we can't have bathrooms. That's
So
pretty
it's
bad.
something I
That's
think-
pretty, that's a gut check.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And it's gonna be a problem. It will be a problem.
I don't understand.
Is there a way that we could have been notified that in our August meeting or throughout the month that things weren't going as planned?
I
But
had,
we're not updated on that stuff, and we really should be, because it's the fields. I don't care who's responsible.
right, as
Maybe
soon
they
as,
have to come
yeah,
in
as soon as
for a
I
meeting.
knew the delay, it went on tonight's agenda because I found it out last week and the email went out to the field users.
Yeah.
I don't think the coaches,
We
We-
communicate with the athletic director.
yeah, at least I don't think so.
Yeah. He was on the email September 2nd. Which is when Doug notified us of the.
Unless the email went up, because I know there was a protocol, new protocol.
And I didn't
Email
open that
went
to
out
see if it
today.
was on there.
Yeah, so I don't know if it.
So moving forward, you're managing the porta potties until this thing is
Correct.
So, you know, you would have the schedule of all the games and everything.
They're scheduled between Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
And everything has been good. And last weekend and this weekend will probably be our two busiest weekends. It'll give us a good gauge of exactly where we're at. You know, we started off with 7 porta potties to see exactly if that was enough. If 2 cleanings was enough, or we need to build up from there. The problem is like we talked about last week, you start trying to do a Saturday cleaning, you're not getting the cleaning truck there until 9 o'clock. You try doing it on a Sunday, you're still not getting the cleaning truck till 9 o'clock. By that time, you're gonna have a bunch of people there, and you're gonna be smelling porta potty for a large duration. That's why we stuck with Tuesdays and Fridays.
I was there on Tuesday, and they did, I mean, that truck was there on the field. We spent some time at each porta potty.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm assuming that's you're giving them a hard time about how important it is to have these things clean. mean, it's not like the portals are that far a step down from the existing bathrooms. Bathrooms were not saying that. So it's good they're doing this project, except they can't do this project during the busiest time of the year. That's what it's, you know, why not push it off, wait till December and January? Nobody uses the field then either.
Somebody missed the deadline, somebody missed the deadline, and someone screwed up with the project plan, that's what it sounds like.
And unfortunately, everything's being delayed, right, because of COVID manufacturing.
I'm a property manager, I totally understand all about delays and labor and materials, I get it. But, you know, I know that you've got different ramifications for the town and all this.
The porta potties that are there, I drove by them, are they the cheap end ones?
No.
Are they the good ones?
They're not the ones that were unsafe.
They're not.
Right, they're like the same thing you would go and get if you went to Rexall.
They didn't look like they were the same, so.
No. They're the same that you'd see all throughout. They're just not the same ones that were unsafe.
Well, I had one woman say to me that, you know, she's not gonna use it, and then she stood around crossing her legs long enough doing it again, so she went to use it. So, it is what it is, so, you know. Is there, so then, you know.
Yeah, you can't even use the restroom in the, where the referees change.
Right. The water show.
Yeah, the water show, so the referees will have to do like everyone.
Well, that was another thing that was almost missed because, you know, they weren't necessarily aware the kitchen was going to be used as of last Monday. So thankfully, I happened to mention that Steve checked to make sure the water was on. Unbeknownst to him, that the refrigerator still wasn't working.
So we rent that? Is that ours?
We own facility.
So facilities has said it's because of all the backlog with supplies and things, and that's the delay.
Yeah, delays on plumbing fixtures and doors. New target completion date will be end of October.
And Jen, so this was supposed to be done by when?
September 12th was the original date,
And that was the official.
according to his calendar that he sent.
And they notified you when?
September 2nd when we reached out. That's when we knew the season was starting. We just wanted to make sure we were still on track, and that's when we found out it was nowhere near being on track.
But they closed down the bathrooms. Why was it?
No.
August.
Because Nutmeg had it, Lyman Challenge had them.
So it was right before beginning of August.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah, sometime.
because the porta potties were delivered August 1st. That's when construction started.
So is the water off?
I was told the water's off all
It is
interior
okay.
bath, all interior
Definitely
bathrooms.
still over the door. And we would know.
It is.
So, as we follow this we're gonna have this on the agenda, to figure out when this is gonna come together, but does anybody see any benefit in having facilities come to our meeting next month? And kind of address it, talk about communications amongst departments? I do think there does need to be a better communication, but for our commission to understand, just because Tony's vested in boosters, he's the face.
I know, but they told me to let it go. Nothing's gonna change.
No, nothing's gonna change. I'm saying going forward. Is there any benefit? If
I mean, Doug Sullivan's a grown guy. I mean, I assume he understands it's sports season.
Well, they need to do something, you know. I mean,
He's well aware of the busyness of the season.
Yeah.
And he promised he's gonna keep us updated as the progress commences, and if I don't hear from him, I'll reach out. And
Me,
at this point, that's all we can do is keep asking for updates.
in my opinion, she should be the face, unless
Oh, yeah, no, definitely Jen has.
Jen should be the one to
There's
lead it.
what, in the men's room, there's 2 urinals and 1 toilet and 2 sinks.
Home Depot
How
carries it.
freaking hard is it to fix up? I mean, I know they gotta be ADA and all this stuff.
I think there needs to be a discussion with facilities, whether it's at the next meeting.
I think going forward, though, we just gotta keep these things in mind.
Joe's speaking, we didn't know what I mean.
Oh, he's actually joined us.
Go ahead, Joe, sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think there needs to be a discussion, just from a lessons learned. How do we improve the communications going forward? I don't think there's much we can do at this point in time with this issue, but it would be a shame if it occurs again and we didn't take any kind of action to try to address effective communication going forward.
I mean, I think I can reach out to Doug tomorrow and let him know the concerns of the commission and say, please, you know, make sure I'd like a weekly update or a bi-weekly update on the bathrooms and, you know, any other project when they were working with the lights. When they were working with the lights from the storm, he was very good. I got, you know, bi-weekly meeting updates as to when the light would be back on the field. So.
And if there's something in between our meetings, put out an email.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments, discussion?
No.
Okay, so we did the Sage Park restrooms. First of all, nothing going on. I put that on just because eventually you will be working on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much is left over in the grant?
So leftover from Sage Park,
yep.
We have. So we had 179,000 set aside left over for personal. Then we also had money left over from the money left we saved with KVA for the architect, and we had $41,000 left from the actual construction project, contingency plus some savings, cost savings there. So total we have $228,274 right now. Left in the bond that is not appropriated or bonded is $194,000. The plan right now is Steve and I are going to look over everything that came in from the old architect that we hired last year, go over everything and figure out what exactly we need to do to go out to bid for a new architect. Start the project and do it. Get approval to use the other money. We can go to council and do council and board of finance to try and get that $194,000 added to the project.
So with the 194, it's like 422 in total, including the money that's open. So
yeah.
And the plan for timing is when?
Is the same. Architect in the fall, winter, come up with plans, hire the construction and start. What was our plan? June?
Originally, we wanted to start in June. I think if we're going to push for a full renovation,
right,
we take away the fall season off the field, give it actually the proper amount of time to grow and get established.
Okay, so shooting for next fall.
Construction to start throughout the summer, and then the fall, just no activity on it.
Right.
So I have a quick question. So what happened last time? I know the architect's plan to something with.
Architect's plans spent, he had very little to any detail of renovating the field. And everything was done from a DPW standpoint of doing everything outside the footprint of the field, which we couldn't see spending $200-something thousand, not on the field. So we had a brand new field here, a brand new field here, the old field here. You know, when we did the geo borings, everything across the entire field was shale and rock. Yeah. So why are we not addressing the full field? Jen and I both believe that it made more sense to spend good money after a bad product.
Okay, thanks. Any further questions on this? Okay, we're kind of going backwards a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's
I asked Tony and staff at the policy, naming fields, memorials, etc. And yeah, we did that.
Nice job. Nice job.
Let me just suggest something just overall, right? It's nothing to vote on tonight, but this is your first look at what Tony's done. And hopefully you all have a chance to read through it. If you have some questions, comments, Tony, if you want to walk us through it.
I think the policy just needed to really, considering that we sat in two recent naming requests, I think the policy just needed to be tightened up. And a little bit more detail added to it, so that we could take that and apply it to the requests as they come in. And just having two people come in recently, it made sense that way. So basically, there was mention by one requester about money being put into the project. So I put in $1 or a percentage on it. And also for ongoing maintenance on it. And then basically just trying to address the fact that it's really meant more for deceased individuals versus living individuals. So, exceptions can be made about it. And also the fact about the changing the name of the field or something that was already previously made. So look it over.
Eventually we'll just run out.
Yeah, right. Look it over, see what you think. If you have any suggestions or changes or other things you want to add to it, send me an email. Well, I can do that.
You guys want this on consent next month to vote on? Or do you want to discuss next month and vote in November? Just so I know what to put on the agenda.
I think my suggestion would be more discussion. Let's take our time and really make sure. Like I said, I'm not sure how many reviewed it. I have one thing that I think should be added to this is that whoever the park or whatever is named after should be someone of good moral character. When you look up the definition of good moral character, it means personal history of honesty, fairness, and respect of others for state and federal law. And I say that being on the Hall of Fame committee and some other committees, that's one of the things that we've always included in. And there have been issues that have come up because people bring them out. There's an issue with someone, but that's something that I think we should add in there. And we might want to run the wording by the Corporate Council for the town too before we finalize, pass this on to the council.
And is it in our purview to be able to say, well, we need to vet this person? In other words,
like investigate?
Yeah.
So in the commissions or groups that I've been involved in, we haven't done that. It's more people coming forward, but that's certainly something, everybody should think about. To investigate though, not sure what we're doing.
The language that Donna just mentioned, I think will open up dialogue around that situation, because we do the same thing with the committees I'm on. Whether we're giving a scholarship out or talking to someone, we talk about the moral standards. And personally, we found that Donna said that as conversation comes out, people come forward, they say, well, did you know this? We didn't.
Right.
Yeah, so that's for that. I think that language just opens it up enough for the conversation. At least in my opinion.
Maybe thinking about that though, maybe we put in some kind of timeline. Let's say someone comes forward, like they have in the past couple of months, and maybe the commission shouldn't act for a period of time to allow people to come forward with something. That's something else to consider. However long it should be. I don't think it should be too long, but maybe that's a way to allow that dialogue to happen.
Right. So I'm also guessing you probably have some kind of public notice, right? I mean, if you're looking for comments, nobody's going to know about this, right? I mean,
I think it's on the group coming that wants to name it.
Yeah,
People
I don't
here.
think you want to open it up to a public forum situation.
you are. When you say it.
Well, there is. I know it's people don't read it, right? There is a public notice in the sense our meetings now there's minutes, obviously. Right. It's on YouTube as well. That being said, though, it is a responsibility of the commissioners to also ask questions of certain groups. We had one that came forward. Maybe Little League or someone like that should be contacted. In that case, I did contact. I think we have to go out a little bit. The commissioners need to.
Well, I agree with you, but I mean, am I misunderstanding your comment about? Well, I thought you were actually talking about more about the fact that you probably
put a notice in the paper.
But
if you're putting it, if that's what we're saying in here, then you might want to talk to the town attorney about whether you have to state a public notice, right? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking. I mean, we're stating in there, you know, basically that, you know, we're opening up the public to have a response.
But
No,
that's what you're saying.
I don't, it's not in, that's not in.
Okay.
No.
I didn't read that.
I didn't read that either.
And also, we're not on site.
Right.
But all we do is we make a recommendation to the next.
And here's this, Parks and Rec Commission will allow for the public input and comment.
I think that means if I'm gonna come and say, I want this field named after my dad, you're not just gonna take my word for it.
Right.
You wanna give the opportunity for Steve to come and say, I know Jen's dad, he'd be
Right.
good at that too.
Right.
You wanna allow anyone to come speak on behalf of that. Like when Rex Smith for tennis courts, it was a plethora of people, for Reddit, it was a plethora of people, it wasn't just their kids or something like that.
Right.
The last one, I just thought it would have been much more of a forceful presentation to us if they did have other people that came in.
Right.
Spoke, you know.
And I'm sorry if I misunderstood. But that comment, I agree with you, but I was thinking you wrote the more of a formal.
I'm just
That's
asking.
what I think.
Yeah, like when we did the conversation on the flex.
Right.
Right.
I think that is the
Right.
Okay, so I'll put on the agenda and
And
I'm for
honestly-
discussion on the policy.
honestly, I thought the way it was handled with Loretta Field was very.
Yeah, it was,
Because
yes.
I think what Tony outlined here actually occurred.
And obviously, if you give them the steps they need to follow, okay, instead of just, you know, having to present, I think the more substantive that it is, the better chance they have of being accepted, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we want to, I mean, give them a chance to succeed or put their best foot forward.
We don't have a lot of unnamed fields or
No.
facilities or parks or things, right? I mean, there's a lot of named stuff. So there's not a lot of openings.
But, you know, you shouldn't discourage people, benches and things like that, you know. Timberland Park does a good job with benches around the golf course and things. We've had some benches that have been named after people. People have come forward. You know, it's a nice honor, something like that. So, I'm just looking. Where was it about being alive? You know, it kind of discouraged
Who's in that?
people. Did I read that right?
Yeah, you put it.
F,
I read it.
3F. 3F.
Yeah, there's a section in there on that.
Jim would not prefer parks to be named after living individuals. Which
Yeah.
may be allowed at discretion of park and recreation town council.
I know it's big group on
Oh, yeah.
but there's an out there too, where it's a combination of other criteria, you know, and circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem naming things after living individuals if they've contributed a lot to a park, you know. Kind of nice if someone sees something being named in their honor. I mean, you know, years ago, Pettit was done, you know, because of his contribution. So, although we've had that, I don't know how everybody feels. I've just thrown that out. I kind of would like to see that wording change.
Having the
On F, it is generally not preferred that parks be named after living individuals. Anyway, think about it, right? Comments,
So once we approve this, does the town council have to approve it?
Yes.
it goes to council and and they did approve before. But doesn't mean it won't,
Well, wasn't in
it
there,
may not get approved.
wasn't there must have something before about the person not being alive?
No, there was nothing in there.
So why was it such a big deal with some other people that were alive? You know, because people assumed that was the case, that they had to be dead.
short.
Well, no, but there was a big deal about that. Well, he's alive.
The person being deceased, I mean, you have a different reflection of that person.
Sure.
After they're gone
Yeah.
versus they're still here,
Damn, we should have done.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, you don't go to Hall of Fame for 5 years, because they want to think about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the high school, it's 10-year. Can't be inducted in the Hall of Fame for 10 years. But we're hoping they're alive. All right, any other comments?
I just had asked about the updates on those.
Yeah, so as far as I know, the cops have not gone through to a Board of Ed meeting and made their presentation yet. They went for one and then it was rescheduled because they couldn't stay through. I guess they went to the one where they were doing all their awards at the beginning.
Yep.
And Robin wasn't able to stay, and then they said come back in another meeting. As far as I know, they should have been back. And the board I know was working on coming up. They had an old policy about renaming things on school ground, and they were looking to revise that. I don't know where that is. Maybe at the start of the school and finished it. So.
The Board of Ed has had a few difficult meetings.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did catch that they were trying to come up with a new policy.
Yeah. And McGee baseball, same thing. We said when we would redo our policy, we get in touch with Jim and let him know what the new policy was, and same thing, that it would have to go to Board of Ed, and that they were also revising their policy.
Okay. All right, Tony, just great first stab at it. Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Okay, so we'll have this on the agenda the next time too for other comments, and we'll figure out when the right time to do that. But I think it's the whole thought. Okay. State Ed grant.
No update. I asked Kevin this morning. He hasn't heard anything.
So it's submitted with those 2 projects. It's with the state.
Yep.
Nothing yet.
I talked to Mark Holmes this morning. He was going to push Joe to make a few phone calls next week after the first football week and maybe get somewhere, but I don't know. I've heard other people trying to get somewhere and just nothing. So we don't know what the hold up is.
The longer this thing goes on, the more obviously we're going to get another year.
Yeah, because if we can't do geotech in the fall, which we can't do without the grant fund, it's going to push it out a whole year.
Right. It's not a commissioner calling you.
Nope.
The lights are on fast.
Okay.
It's 9:07. It's October 1st. Why are they not off yet? Shining through my window now that the leaves fell.
All right.
Facebook.
Parks and Rec.
So before I do my report, because we've been talking about social media things, I just want to bring to your guys' attention, after our last meeting, Al Pipkin had contacted me because I guess the soccer had contacted him to sell for, I thought they said the Jamboree. And I explained to him the process that he has to go to Park and Rec Commission and Town Council for approval to sell at the town park. He was not pleased with that response and said I can sell at, at Senior Center, at Town Hall. Why can't I do this? I have all the permits. And I just said it's part of the town policy. We can't, we can't go, we can't ignore it basically. And he did post on his personal Facebook page that he was less than happy with the Parks and Rec department about it. And I do have to say, I want to kind of give acknowledgement to Deborah Tubbs, because she got on and said, I submit it in March and I get approval from the council and the Park and Rec Commission, and that's the policy. And I didn't respond because I don't want to get in the back and forth, but I appreciate the fact that she did kind of reinforce that, she's also a vendor in town, and that's the process she goes through to be able to sell on town property, on parks, basically in the park. So, it kind of died down after that, but just, because you've been talking about this, I thought I would just let you guys know that
Oh,
it was unfortunate. And I know that he does sell everywhere, but it's, when you look under in the ordinance,
It's an ordinance, yep.
when you look in there, it specifically says to sell on town property, you have to get the prior approval, whether you have the other things or not. So-
And we even looked at the calendar because I felt like if I could get all of you guys on Zoom for 10 minutes, we could have approved it.
Yeah.
However, the next council meeting was after the weekend of the Jamboree.
Right.
I'm not gonna ask council to get together for 10 minutes. I don't have that authority. So
Yeah,
if there was a council meeting that we could have snuck it on, I would have just emailed everyone and we would have gotten you guys on the Zoom to approve it. But because it would have never made it on council prior to the event, that's why we had to say, by the ordinance, it wasn't gonna work.
yeah,
So how did it, like, the essence when he talks about being on the senior center property?
no, he did, because he sold for one of Tina's drive-through events, but it's not a park. He wanted to sell it a
Right.
park, and
The
that's
ordinance
different.
is clear, it's not any town, I thought.
Selling on a town park or playground is prohibited without park and rec commission
Right,
approval
right.
by town council.
Because you don't have any authority to approve it to sell at the senior center, because that's
No,
just
no,
town
no, I
property,
didn't,
so,
I thought maybe
yeah.
the ordinance said town property.
no,
So
it says, yeah,
That's what I thought.
it's pretty specific,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
I mean-
He's a ice cream vendor?
Well, the
No,
park,
he's the hot dog guy,
yeah.
Fireman Alex.
Oh, fireman.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, I mean, it's,
Well, I'm actually glad that this didn't happen, because, they're cooking hot dogs and hamburgers.
well, and they wouldn't have been, then he wouldn't have been able to sell anyway, because it's only if.
Take away.
And that's what Deborah had also said, it's, she has approval to do that, as long as the concession is not open. So, yeah, I just was, I was appreciative that she did get on there and say, like, no, this is the process I go through. So he didn't think that he was being singled, because he felt like he was being singled out and not able to do this, so just wanted to pass it on to you.
Yes, yeah.
So, okay, and I do have one update about I did hear from the Board of Ed today. I have a couple follow-up questions with them, and Marlene is off until next week, so I'm not gonna get the answers. But she said at this point, the superintendent is allowing use in the schools, but she specifically said just for Berlin students, so.
Just for Berlin what?
Students.
Oh,
So I had a couple follow-up questions, like, so does that mean that we can't have any fans in the gyms? I followed up with and I'm sure the mask is whatever the governor, sets down if you're in schools, no matter what you're doing, you have to follow that policy, which is fine. So I'll have to wait to hear from her next week on how we'll proceed, but, it looks like hopefully we'll be able to try to get a season in. I'm gonna be very challenged because I don't have any referees because they've all aged out. Because I haven't the people that were seniors the first, in 2019, who I wouldn't have had last year, are gone, and I didn't hire anyone to fill those spots. And now the few people that I had that were seniors last year are now gone. So that is going to be my largest challenge, is to get enough staff to fill those spots.
Yeah.
And Chuck Francesco, who does the girls program, already contacted me. He has a new job, so he will try to help out as much as possible with that, but I probably am looking for a girls coordinator also. So, yeah, I briefly just talked to Jen, and we'll get everything. I'll get the request into the schools, but I'll probably end up pushing the start of the season back where we normally start games before Christmas, but to just make sure I have everything else in place to start in January, which is typical for most towns anyway. We're one of the few that plays games before Christmas break. So that's going to be the direction that we'll head in, and we'll see. I honestly don't think we'll get large numbers if kids have to wear masks, but again, we'll follow whatever's in place. So.
We'll see. One's under 12, don't even have a shot at it.
Yeah. And from what I'm hearing from people that I know in schools, there's a lot of kids with COVID and under quarantine protocols. So
Yeah.
it's definitely out there, And I actually, one of my part-timers who's a pair at Griswold has COVID. So, it's definitely hitting, and I don't know if it's gonna get worse, and then he's gonna say, you can't use it, but like at this point, we'll go forward. I mean, I ordered the t-shirts last year, so I don't have to order those are already here. So that's one good thing I don't have to do, but, you know, we'll get things moving, and then, you know, kind of hopefully get some answers from them and see what happens, and then we'll take it from.
I just read this morning where they're saying that November is going to be the biggest spike going forward. It's going to increase every month. So, you know, because they're indoors.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give it a shot and see what happens. You know, but hopefully we can get something. We can do something.
Right.
Now the other part is what they've done, and they don't do the remote learning, but last year what they did after like Christmas break and stuff, did they
stay home an extra week, yeah.
They're not gonna have that luxury to do this year because they're not doing the remote learning. So that'll be kind of interesting too, to see what happens with that, but we'll, you know, hopefully best. And then, you know, I reached out to people for the trunk or treat who did it last year. I already have 4 people that are gonna come back and do that. So we'll put something on Facebook and try to get,
so you're gonna do it at Sage?
yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a Saturday night because the Friday is the homecoming game.
Oh, okay.
And I like to do it the week before. I don't want it, Halloween's on a Sunday. I don't want to do it the night before Halloween. So, and I had been in contact with the Willard PTO because they had talked about maybe doing something together. And it really wasn't gonna work, but then when I contacted her, she said, oh no, that's great because they're gonna do their trunk or treat the following week. So we're not gonna conflict with that. So that'd be good. And she said, well, that's great. It gives people now a couple of events they can go to instead of just one, you know, on the same night.
And the public bathroom should be done.
But it doesn't matter, it's drive-through.
I'm sorry?
No, it's a drive-through. They drive
Yeah,
through.
I mean, staff doesn't.
We really know what, so the event's only gonna be an hour and a
If
half.
there's 4 parties, I will prepare myself.
Yeah.
Drink all day, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
let's just hope
it's only an hour and a half. You know, last year we did 2 hours, and that last, because people registered, we knew who came through, and we were waiting for one person, and they never came through, unfortunately, and that was like the last half hour. Like everyone had come through, so we're shortening it up, but obviously we'll stay there till everyone goes through. But
it was a great event last year. So.
people really enjoyed it.
Really
So,
positive.
yeah, so, you know, hopefully we'll get more. There's definitely space that we can fit more vehicles in to do it. So, you know, and I hope a Saturday is good. People aren't rushing home from work, trying to get their kids in the car and do the whole thing. So hopefully that works in our favor also. And as you can see, people want to come back. Our building is packed tonight. Fantastic. Yeah, yep, so we're happy that we're open and people want to come back. Anyone have any questions?
Any questions? Community Senior Center update.
Shall we give them the abridged version or the 3-hour version that we sat through?
I wrote out notes, and I'll have to follow them.
It was just under 3 hours. So you guys know.
So the town council made the advisory, it's called the advisory committee now, for the community and senior center. Our first meeting was September 2nd. It had been delayed from what we had hoped to be our first meeting on August 2nd, but it was delayed to September 2nd. The members are Brendan Lundy and Mike Moronga from town council, Dave Sear from economic development, Tim Grady, Board of Finance, Barbara Gombatz, Chair of Commission of Aging, and myself. It was a good meeting. Jen's staff liaison, and it probably went 3 hours.
2 hours and 50 minutes.
Okay, so we'll get that down. We did not get through the entire agenda. It started out with selecting a chairperson. Brendan Luddy is the chair from the town council. That was after 2 votes. It was a 3-3 tie. I was nominated along with Brendan, 3-3 tie. 2 times through. If we never got to select a chair, we would have to leave, you know, not have any type of meeting. You know, just based on the way things were going. I declined the chair so that we could move forward. And I said I would be vice chair. So I am vice chair. And in saying that, I had hoped that it would not be political going forward and people would be open-minded. As the meeting got through, I think it's just fair to say that there were some very firm positions that arose during the meeting. On public outreach, which I have always felt is really important for well, the advisory committee to do. I created the task list that the town council accepted. That's included in there. We had set up through Jen's help a table for the Berlin Fair to be manned by the architect, as well as town staff, and it was brought in front of the advisory committee because Jen needed some other people to man the booth. But the architect was going to run it. You know, we all know Tom Arcari and everybody is. They voted that down. Good discussions in the sense that some people were quite clear that they don't think it's time to do public outreach, and that maybe do public outreach once we come up with something, whatever, you know, whatever that might be in the future. There was some discussion about going back and maybe doing a questionnaire to all townspeople in some ways. What those questions would be, don't know. Some people said, oh, ask them if they want, you know, the Taj Mahal, medium, or a low end community center. That was, you know, I don't know how that would work, but I'm just sharing with you the comments that were made. Nothing was really decided on that end. A lot of the focus, and Jen, you correct me if I'm wrong, and by the way, it's on YouTube, but the first 38 minutes are silent because technology didn't work very well. Greg was, I saw Greg on Zoom.
Yeah.
A couple of other staff people were there. But I think that a lot of the focus was on the cost. 37.5 million is what the architects, whoever he used as a professional estimate to build the facility. And some, you know, don't necessarily believe that number. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but what I do know is it was an independent cost estimator. It wasn't Tom Arcari's number, but I believe it's a firm that they hire to get the cost estimate. And it sounds like perhaps they want, we in the advisory committee will be, you know, perhaps looking at that cost and determining, do we go to someone else to estimate a cost? I don't know. All I said was, first of all, that's the Public Building Commission role. And, you know, they got the architect, they got the cost estimate, and it's part of their tasks. They did it. So I'm not sure what happens. You have to send it back to them if you don't like the number, or you don't believe the number. But all I said is you gotta at least agree on a number so that as you change things, as you decide, maybe we should, you know, take out this, or maybe we should add this as we visit other towns. I'm hopeful that that will get done. That you learn things from other towns. At least you have a base that you're adding or subtracting something from, and it's at a base that we all agree with. I don't, like I said, I don't know where we're gonna head on that. Again, these were just comments with no decisions that were made that night. So the agenda wasn't finished that night. We didn't even agree on when we'll be meeting for the balance of our tasks, but we did agree that it would be September 28th, and then the next day, but Brendan, you know, checked his schedule, and these things happen, and he can't make it. So I'm still waiting to hear if it's finally September 27th. I think everybody but one person.
I think everybody reports it, but there's never been final notification of this is when we're meeting.
Yeah. There was a comment about maybe we should meet once a month. And I said, well, that makes no sense. We have a project, the costs are based on September 2022 build. If anything, we should be meeting weekly or bi-weekly. We have a lot to get done, meet a lot, and maybe you can, you know, later on, not have to meet so often, but we have a lot to get done. But, so that was, dates weren't set there. So all in all, I guess these things had to come to a head, and they did. And I'm hopeful, though, for the next meeting, we'll be able to move ahead and have an agenda that we can at least finish and get through, and that we can agree.
And it was hard. It's not like we didn't get through all our agenda for lack of trying. We had speakers. We had the mayor speak. We had Kevin Delaney speak. We had the attorney speak, who spoke for a long time because there were lots of questions about what the role is. So, I mean, I think next meeting, when it's just us, hopefully, you're right, we can go down the agenda and not make it out.
Could be. Yeah.
So,
audience citizens, everybody's invited to speak after this meeting. Sam Malagio spoke. He talked about funding, how the town should be looking, and our advisory committee should be looking at funding, which we all agree. And he did say that he spoke to Lopes, who's our state senator, and Kathy Abercrombie, who's my rep. Donavich is the other rep from the town. He hadn't spoken with Donavich, but the other two seem very supportive of moving ahead and trying to get funds from the state to help the town. And so, we'll see. We'll see as we go forward. That being said, I wish we accomplished more, but I'm hopeful that we will going forward, and we'll be able to come up with something. I encourage you all to zoom in or come personally, speak if you'd like, and that's it. I don't know, Jen, do you have anything else?
No, I think we covered it.
Right?
Yeah.
When the meeting is scheduled, would someone let the commission know?
Yeah, we can send an email. I'll actually follow up with Brendan tomorrow and see if we have an exact date.
Want to say anything because you were in the.
So if you want to listen to a fun time, I suggest you watch the YouTube video. You can really see how people are focusing on what needs to be done and what needs to be done, what agendas, I guess, there were everybody's set up.
So that's the update. Again, hopeful. We'll move forward. Any questions? Comments?
So you're supposed to meet monthly, but you don't have the next meeting.
Say that again?
You're supposed to meet monthly, but you don't have the next meeting.
We're pretty sure it's Monday, September 27th.
Yeah,
everyone kind of emailed back and said, yes, that works, yes, that works. But Brendan has not officially said, okay, this is our next meeting.
Right.
So I'll follow up with
you have a schedule of places you can go visit yet?
No, that's on the agenda for next meeting.
Matrix was on the agenda. The attachments were all there, but didn't get to it. Again, hopefully it will be on the agenda. I'm hoping Brendan Luddy is a good guy. Hoping, to be able to work with him very, very well.
Does the architect attend? Does the
No.
No, they want to go.
That's not my question.
Yeah, exactly.
Will the architect be attending?
Well, I'm hopeful. I did ask that they have them in attendance because when they start talking about the cost and they don't believe it.
I told Brendan that he is back from vacation for the next meeting, and Brendan had said, I'm going to wait and we'll discuss it at our next meeting to invite him for the October meeting. Which makes sense. I think if he was at the next meeting, we wouldn't really have organized questions for him.
It's the Public Building Commission who is meeting tonight, by the way, and Micah Hearn, who heads that up from the staff's position, was there at our meeting. So I'm sure he'll be giving them an update, whatever he says. But they're the ones that have hired Tom Arcari, his company. They're the ones that came up with that agreed it was time for public outreach. And Tom Arcari, they asked him to come up with a plan for public outreach. So one of the questions that I asked Public Building Commission to consider tonight is, Are you done with public outreach? Or you have more to do? If you have more to do, maybe we should just get that going. So hopefully they'll be discussing that tonight. But that's where the commissions all have to, you know, we all have to work together. Staff has to work together. You know, and I remain hopeful. So, but it was a tough meeting. It's just because we couldn't come to an agreement.
There's progress.
Hopeful.
Small step forward.
Yeah, yeah, all right.
But it's hope.
There's no audio on the video, by the way, so 30 minutes.
Yeah, so basically I had called after I got tired of not hearing people. I just listened.
After I called him, after I left the meeting to call him and say, Greg, either get on and stay on and mute yourself or stay off. Because every time he came on, he was muttering to himself because the video wasn't working.
Yeah. The funny thing is that you said you were shutting it off too. So every time I would see, I just said unmute, and it's unmute again. I go, what the hell? So you probably heard me just mumbling.
So not to digress, but can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye, guys.
Take care.